Alright, I'm gonna try something a little different. I'm gonna do kind of like a voiceover commentary of what I'm doing here. Some of you said you like this long form content, so I'm gonna be kind of showing the entire process and how long I kind of work through each step. So you can kind of judge how long I'm taking on each step and kind of what I'm doing. Alright, so first things first, we gotta remove it from the pot. Always start by removing the tie down wires. Clip all of them, even the screen hold downs. And preferably have all your tools set up and ready to go before you start working. Of course, the first thing after we remove the wires is to kind of loosen up that dirt around the edge of the pot and the root ball just so it kind of pops out. So work your way around, evenly scraping the edge from all sides, or however much you need to kind of get it.
You want to get rid of all the large roots.
Just take your time. No need to rush this step. Also, you want to scrape. It's more of a scraping action. You don't want to jam the saw deep and then kind of use it like a saw. Think about it more like a scraper. You're scraping that dirt. Scrape, scrape, scrape. And with black pines, you want to be really careful not to touch the trunk. You don't want any of that bark to fall off while you're holding it or anything like that. It's going to be important. I like to use a little rubber mallet just to kind of help pop that pot off. Just give it some light taps. You should feel it kind of loosen up. If not, go back to scraping. But there it goes. Always prepare your pot first. You don't want to do root work before you set up your pot. Most times, if you know what pot you're putting it in, prepare your pot. If you're unsure which pot you're going to use, then do your root work first and then see what pot you can fit it in. But if you know what you want to put it in, or if you're putting it back into the same pot, prepare the pot first before doing your root work. When doing your root ball work, start at the bottom. And I've only had this tree in my possession for a short time, so a lot of this repot is kind of like an exploration to see what it's like, to see what the root ball is like. How tight is it? I can tell from watering, water doesn't seep down very well, so it definitely needs a repot. And I can tell how hard this root ball really is. That soil is really compact. Also, I can tell from the tree that the tree is a little bit weak. The buds are really small. And from the last decandle, the new buds that were produced were pretty small too. So I can tell that there's not as many roots as there should be. And this is kind of confirming my suspicion. The soil is so compact and so tight that there's just it's not solid root mass. It's more soil than actual root. And since this isn't a very old tree, I'm gonna do an easy repot. I'm not gonna go in there and really go hard on this repot. My idea, and this is kind of what I'm thinking in real time, judging off the root ball. I want to get this healthier first, just kind of open that root ball up just a little bit for new roots to start growing, and then I'll come back in maybe a year or two and then kind of really start to dig into that old soil really hard. I'll get up in the middle and try to remove eventually all this compact soil. But for now, we're just gonna kind of lightly scratch up all the sides. There you can see how compact that soil really is. And just take your time working through. Wow, great work. Great camera work there. You can really see what I'm doing. Sorry about that. It's hard to work when the camera is right in front of you and you're trying to focus on doing work on the tree. I'll try to get better at that, but just work your way all the way around. All right, so now after you have the root work finished, all right, I'm gonna be putting this into just a slightly larger pot. At the bottom, I have like a medium-sized pumice, and then I'm gonna be using a small particle size conifer mix that's good for my area. This is a cool little trick that I learned from a customer, which is just using like a little baking scraper to kind of keep your work area clean. I normally just use a piece of wood, but the scraper's kind of nice too. So if you want something cheap and easy, a plastic scraper works really well. When you're setting your front of your tree, make sure that your whole workspace is aligned properly. So your table is flat and the front of the table is straight, your pot is straight, and then it'll be a lot easier to set that tree to the perfect front. Kind of hard to do with the camera in the way, but you can kind of see me just double checking everything.
And then make sure the trunk is centered.
Now at this point, you kind of want to add soil all the way around. You don't, once you pick your front and you set the tree in, you don't want to immediately tie the tree down. You want to add a little bit of soil all the way around and kind of chopstick it in there, get it all over the place. Not hard. You don't want to move the tree. You're just kind of making sure that when you do tie down the roots, that you just don't squish all the roots down with the wire. So you kind of want to incorporate that new soil into the roots. So there I am, chopsticking, just lightly, very lightly chopsticking all the way around, just getting it in there real nice and easy. Okay, there you go. You can see the new planting angle, the new front. So you can see I potted the tree a little deeper in the pot. I'm just trying to get more surface roots, you know, trying to keep moisture more towards the surface of this trunk here. And when we put it back into a smaller pot, it'll probably get brought back out. But for the time being, that just potted it a little deeper. All right, so once you are happy with the angle of everything, the front, it's centered in the pot, add just a little bit more soil, light chopsticking. You can really see I'm being real easy here. And then right after this, we'll do our tie downs. The tie downs for this one, I'm doing a three-way tie down. So I have 2 wires coming where the trunk is, where the left side of the main body of the trunk, and each one will fold over. One will fold over through the back, and one will fold over through the front, all the way towards that right side. And then I'll tie down both of those and then bring both of those wires together and bring them together on the very most right side of the tree, so it kind of adds like an extra secure lockdown. I'm just checking everything, making sure I'm happy with how everything is going, making sure that the wires are being fed through properly.
Hey, Leah, what are you doing out here, huh?
And I'm just feeding that wire through that little hole where that trunk and the soil meet. And that's the wire that will come around the back. There it is. And I'll adjust the camera here. There we go. So now you get a better view of how I'm explaining this tie down is going to go. I need to get better about not working right in front of the camera. All right, here we go, the tie down process. So that's the front wire. I'll bring that all the way towards that right side. There's that front wire that I bring all the way back towards that right side. Pull them nice and tight and tighten them. Here you get a good view of that. Pulling that wire nice and tight all the way back. Tightening those two together and then pulling both sides together, kind of sealing them both together. Make sure when you're tightening your wires, grab your pliers, pull your 2 wires, twist and release the pressure. Pull, twist, release the pressure. Cut off the excess. And now after I tighten it down, now I come in here and do my final chopsticking. I just want to make sure that I go all the way down underneath that root ball and just really make sure that there's no air holes or pockets or anything like that. So this is when you do the majority of your chopsticking, now that you've tightened the tree down. If you do hard chopsticking before you tie the tree down, you can move the tree and push the tree out of the pot.
What? What is it, my baby?
After you finish chopsticking, just add a little bit more soil just to kind of fill up the pot. And the last step is to tamp all that soil down. Now this is an important step that a lot of people forget. You want to make sure that you come back in and then give it one more final turn. Just make sure that wire's nice and snug. One last check of that twist. Okay, add your final soil, your soil line, come in with your tamper. Hand tamping and using a tool, very different. I always recommend to use a tool. The end result is so much cleaner, it's so much nicer. It just settles all that soil in nicely and gives you a nice clean straight line. And then brush away any excess. Try and keep it if you can, it's still good soil. Make sure those edges are nice and straight. Light tamping. You're not pressing hard down with the tamper. It's just a light tamp. All the way around. Okay, and there we go. Finished. That's it. You're looking at real time how long I really took on that tree. I did edit out a few things just to kind of like as I'm moving the camera around and stuff like that, but that's a pretty precise amount of time I spent working on that tree. Okay, so if anyone has any questions, any comments, of course, you know the YouTube deal, like and subscribe and do all that. I'd appreciate it. But yeah, any questions, let me know.
And I didn't know how it was going to hold up. This thing's got to be at least 10 years old.
Wow.
And it hasn't.
That's
like,
cool.
Just so it wouldn't rust, you know?
Yeah.
I turned the handles.
Oh, nice.
I turned some maple ones and some walnut. This is
That's walnut? Yeah. You sure?
Yeah. I mean, it's old.
I wanted to change the handle on this. Pretty close, dude. It doesn't have to be perfect. You and this
I want to make it smaller. Yeah, usually they'll be like one side kind of flat and then the other side curved. Yeah. But I want to make a small one.
You could definitely do copper and bronze it, or use bronze and do your soldering.
Yeah, I did MIG welded these.